You miss a day, it's recording. The first thing we're going to get into is displaying non-printing characters. Those of you that have done proofing, you also notice it's basically the paragraph key, or when people would tell you to do a paragraph. So I'm going to go into the Tech Terrace letter. Up on my ribbon, I've got this funny looking P with a pi sign kind of deal. It's the paragraph key. So when you press it, you're going to notice now I have a bunch of paragraph buttons that have shown up. Every time you see this, that means the enter key has been pressed. If you see a dot in between words, that means the space bar has been pressed. Now, if I were to come over here and I'm just going to press tab as an example, you can see that there's an arrow indicating the tab key has been pressed. Well, why is this important? If your formatting is really screwed up and you can't figure out why, turn on your non-visible paragraph marks so that way you can see what key may have been pressed and why your formatting is really goofed up. And this is also, if I were grading you in Word and I say, okay, insert a page break to go ahead and do a works cited, for example, and you're like, oh, I'll do a page break, enter, 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 new page. That is not how you would do a page break, okay? And you can see that, and the reason for that is because if I type any more information up here, all those enters get pushed down. So page breaks would be separate. We're going to get into those more, but Control Enter is a page break. So now you can see I've skipped to a new page, and it'll actually show me page break. And so that's, again, this only comes up if I've got this formatting mark turned on. And I'm like, why is this not working? Why does it keep going to a new page? Well, I turn it on. Oh, there's a page break here. I can come in front of this, press delete, and then the page break is gone. So that's where I can start cleaning stuff up. Let's jump back to some other things they want us to talk about. Okay, autocomplete. So we're just going to go into this document here. We're going to go up to the top. We're going to go ahead and erase this date. And we're going to just simply start typing today's date. Now, you'll notice it says press enter to insert. So all I did was type March. It's like, oh, you must want today's date. Press enter on that, and then you get it. That is autocomplete. And you'll see that come up with various things that you might be typing. Word wrap. Word wrap is on by default in Word, and you want to understand what it is. I'm just going to jump to the blank page here. You don't need to do this part. But if I'm actually just going to take a paragraph so I don't have to retype the paragraph. If I was on a typewriter and I was typing this information, I get to the end of a line. What would I have to do on a typewriter? I'd have to hit enter, right? I need to get it to enter down to the next line. You don't need to do that in a Word program. I just keep typing, and it wraps for me. That is called word wrap. Now, if I were to come to the end of a line and I press enter, and I mention this because when I've taught this to middle schoolers, they do it. They will press enter, and then they'll go ahead and put in their new information. Well, look at how that looks. It's going to start to look really off, especially if I go up here and I add more information. The formatting gets all messed up. So now I've got an enter here. I turn on my marks, I can see it, and that's why this line just stops, and then it continues down here. So you don't ever need to press enter at the end of a line. You guys that have used Google Docs probably already know that, but the function that is doing that for you is called word wrap, should you ever run into that. All right, we're dealing with a letter right now, and this letter is called block style. Anybody know why it's block style or can identify it very quickly? You guys don't write letters very much, do you? If you're writing a professional business letter, you're going to write it in block style, which means everything is left aligned. Now, there's something also called modified block style. Modified block style is going to take your date, and it's going to align it right to about here, and then your sincerely and your name will also be right aligned. Everything else is to the left. If you start indenting, it is no longer block style. And then to create a new paragraph, now normally writing a letter, you would just indent, hit enter, indent. You'll notice you've got a line space in between this. So that's block formatting. Your paragraphs are separated by an extra space. Now there's also something you'll notice here. We got open punctuation and mixed punctuation. It's a crash course on letter writing here. This right here indicates we're using mixed punctuation. Open, we would not have any punctuation here. Now a lot of you probably write letters and would write, "Dear Miss Lockhart, comma," and then start your letter. That is not correct. Elementary would have taught you wrong. You open a letter with a colon and close it with a comma, and that's actually what this would be referred to. This is called open punctuation, and this would be a closed punctuation. You open the letter, and then you have to close it. If you put a comma here, you're technically closing the letter right away. It's not proper. To jump into additional proper letter writing, why would you use Miss right here instead of Mrs.? Because why? You don't know if they're married or not. You would only use Miss, M-I-S-S, or Mrs., M-R-S, if you personally know the person and are absolute certain they're not married. Otherwise, it's either M-R for Mr. and M-S for Ms. All right, entering document text, you can see that this has already been set up. They're showing the paragraph formatting marks. Saving a document. Saving a document for the first time. This is assuming I already went File, New, and I typed this. I could simply come up here and press the Save button, and it's going to ask me to name it and give me a location. However, this document has already been saved. What happens if I press the Save button now? What? It saves what I have. It's saving it over that existing file name. What if I need to rename this? Save as. That's also if I don't want to wreck the original for some reason. Maybe somebody shared a Word doc with me, and I don't want to mess with theirs, so I need to save my own copy. That would be a save as. I know some of it's going to seem kind of basic. And here you go. They're going over save as right here. They talk about the different components of the window, of the saving window. You've got your address bar, just like in a Internet Explorer window. Choosing a folder, choosing a different name. Now, here is something that's kind of important, may not necessarily be relevant to the exam, but saving it with different extensions. So, what's one thing you have to consider when typing a document in Word and sending it to somebody, especially today? Do they have Word? What if they don't have Word? How are they going to open it? Well, with Google Docs, you can upload a doc file, and it is readable. But it is something to consider. The other thing to consider is what version of Word might they have. So we have the DOC, which was the 2003 to 1997, and then you had the DOCX, which is 2007, 10, and 13. So if they have an old version of Word, 1997, they will not be able to open a DOCX file. Now I think you could probably download a converter if I remember right, but it's just more work for that person, so something to consider. Now, if you're creating a template, so maybe I want to create a resume template that I want to share out to people, that is going to be a DOTX file. PDF, you are all familiar with those. Those are non-editable files. You can actually create a web page in Word, and those are going to be .htm or .html files. Now, one of my favorite, which can be opened anywhere but still looks good, is the RTF or rich text format. That means you can still create bold, change the font size and all of that, and it will open up in Notepad, WordPad, and so forth. And now notice it says only limited formatting is available. Like I said, bold, changing the font size. Plain text or TXT, that is going to be your absolute basic. It's 10 or 12 point font. It's going to look like the computer style font, you might call it, and you cannot format it at all. But you can open that in pretty much anything. You don't need to have Word. Showing how to export a document to PDF. There's a couple ways to do this. I actually don't use the export option, but they're going to show you if you want to go to export, and you can choose create PDF XPS. Another way that you can do it, especially with the newer Adobes, is you can go to file print. And you can do this even on your Chromebooks from a web page. Here I have Adobe PDF as a printer. You guys on your Chromebooks are going to have save as PDF option, so you can create PDFs from anything. It is actually a pretty handy feature. Go, go, go. Working with templates. I'll just show you how to do it. File, new. Again, just like PowerPoint, you can search for templates online, or you can go ahead, I can choose business. And then I've got categories over on the side, but here's for an example. If I want to create a sales invoice, it's going to go ahead and download it from Microsoft. It's going to open that up. And now I just need to go through and fill in this information. If you're in a hurry and need to create a quick document for something, search for it online. Probably already there. It's going to save you a lot of time, and it's going to look good. Only thing is, remember to either change or delete this information. I have seen a lot of professional documents. I actually got one 2 days ago where it had this exact thing on the bottom. Your company, phone number 555-555-5555. And I was looking at it, it's like, wow, you definitely used the template, and it shows. Looks good when you have it all done correctly, but if you left that on there, it's pretty cheesy looking. Closing out of a document, you got the X up here. This will only knock out the particular open document. It doesn't do tiled windows like it used to. So I'm not going to save that. Notice I'm still in Word. I just closed that one Word window. And they are stacked on the bottom. Gonna really fly through all this template stuff. All right, printing, print preview. I'll run through that real quick. File, print. Notice when you got your printer set up here, you can choose all your settings. You got your properties. Over on the right here is your print preview. This is how it's gonna look on your page. So if something doesn't look right, maybe it's going off to 2 pages, whatever might be happening, you might need to go ahead and adjust this. Now, if I'm printing a business letter like this, what would actually be the proper formatting? Look at the alignment of it right now. Where is it aligned? Left and? Ooh, we never thought about this before. And top. Right now it's top. Technically, you'd want to center the vertical alignment. So I would come down to page setup, and I can come down over to my layout. Vertical alignment is at top. I can change this to centered. Hit OK. Now look, so that's going to print right in the center of the page. More professional looking. Especially important if you are printing on a document that already has a header, like a professional business letterhead on it, and you need to run that through the printer. You need the space for that letterhead up top. All right, one thing they just pointed out real quick, even in this document, I've got a zoom slider, so I can zoom on this page. Word has the same thing. Choosing a printer, I kind of covered that when I went with Adobe's printer. Come on, computer, keep up. Going faster than the computer. All right, here we go. All right. When text is selected, what automatically appears on the screen? So what they're talking about here, if I were to make a selection, what just appeared when I selected that? The mini toolbar, yep. I selected, I get my mini toolbar. Now, something I should point out, this cursor shape, what's it look like? Like a what? It's like an eye. It's called the I-beam cursor. And now, where this little blinking black line is right here, that's called your insertion point. Those would be a couple of important terms to know. So I'm going to move the insertion point to the front of a paragraph. I've got my I-beam. A couple ways to select this paragraph. I can double click and I can select the word we. I can triple click, get the whole paragraph, or I can hold down Control and I can, Control Shift. And Control Shift will let me select one word at a time. If I hold just down Shift, it goes one character at a time. Okay. We're going to go ahead and, yeah, I'll have to stop here. We're not going to have time to do this, type this business letter up. So we'll start tomorrow with a quick business letter.